Here.
Yeah, you're recording.
Okay.
Yep. Good. We're live. Yep. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Steuben County Drainage Board meeting, September 2nd, 2025. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Second. First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Item number 2. Mr. Stoy, regulated drains, topics of discussion. Uh-oh, voting time.
If you have it in a certain order, you might have to,
Okay.
so you might have to
First-
scramble around for your stuff.
First one we got is number 562, Lafayette Harlan regulated drain.
Yes, so some of these are representing me as, well, my family as landowners, some are representing Dellers, and others in Lafayette Harmon is representing the Dellers. So it's one of the drainage board meetings held several years ago, 5-7 years ago, there was agreed that the Deller family and the Klink family would put a lot of money into doing the upper end of Lafayette Harmon. And as a part of that agreement was the ditch would be cleaned or improvements made all the way up to Richard Klink's line. And that part of the project has never been done. Also, been supervising the project all the way up until it crossed 200. Mr. Deller says that there's been several feet of depth that's been lost on the upper end of that, that could have been lowered. So I'm going to ask that surveyor would shoot the upper end that was replaced recently to make sure that it is on grade. And we don't believe the water is getting way downstream the way that it should. So along the south property line of Mr. Deller's field, there's a junction box, a collection point, whatever you want to call it. And you can tell by the water staining that the water will rise as much as 6 feet above the tile before it's able to get away. So I think there needs to be some work done downstream as it gets to 20 or even north of 20 to make sure that there are no obstructions. That makes sense before I go any further.
Are we right off of,
Acres, didn't you guys just plant acres?
yeah, we had, well, Acres cleaned this by hand, and then, H&P, replaced some of this tile, fixed some holes last.
Now, we did go in there by Pigeon Pond, Greg.
We did this as well.
Yeah, we cleaned up, yeah.
Acres themselves cleaned this by.
Okay.
It's, and then H&P cleaned some, or, replaced some of this. I believe they replaced the whole thing, actually.
Place of town, there's like a,
Well, so first, and this was an oversight on my part, but there should be a vent, either north side or south side of 20, because that's a large amount of enclosed tile. So that would be something that would potentially help alleviate some pressure, but it's just not draining fast enough on the new tile that was put in on the Diller property. So we need to have some plan of action to look for why is it not working the way that it should.
We had them on the south side as well. There was two of them. Yeah, there's some big suck holes on this side too.
Now, does that have anything to do with the Schwarm property that we're gonna clean east of State Road 1? That's totally different?
That'd be
Okay.
photogenic.
Okay, thank you.
That's
You're
one of my-
correct.
That's one of my items.
Okay, so we are gonna go, but we'll wait until, we don't wanna
So,
take on your.
You know, I could look at the acres property and say that it's the lower end of that is not done the way that it should be, but for the scope of what we're wanting to make sure Mr. Deller is covered on, I'm not sure that I really care what's happening on their property. I want to make sure that his property is draining because he spent a significant amount of money along with Richard Klink to make sure their water had an outlet.
Am I right in saying, did Richard have a lot of trees that were killed off on his property
Yeah.
because of the flood, because of flooding?
Yes, and he had, Mr. Diller put the bulk of the money into the project, but it was not insignificant the amount that Richards had put in as well, and never did live to see the benefit from it.
if I can inject something here, I think when Larry done that reconstruction that, he hired an outfit out of Fort Wayne to do the survey all up through. And they went up to, you're not familiar with my property, but there's a spot out there that they call a wetland, and they went through the edge of that wetland with solid tile. And they got through it about 50, 75 feet, and then they come up about 4 feet. And I don't know that they had the same plans from that company in Fort Wayne that done the survey. I thought maybe they stopped there and then they just went on their own. I don't know.
Was that the ones that crossed Metz Road?
No, it's the one that crosses 100.
No,
So it wouldn't have been not excavating, KNOTT?
It
No, it
was.
was not.
Yeah.
It was, okay.
It was not.
And I remember that was put out in the paper and several of us bid on it, but then that was
It did
important.
cross Metz Road.
It did cross Metz Road.
Started on the south
Across
side
the
of the
Metz
line.
Road,
Yeah.
it was 19 feet deep when it crossed the
Supposed to have been,
no, it was good up to the Metz Road.
okay?
It was good to the Metz Road.
You
And
can see towards the middle of your map, towards the left middle of the map, there's a circle there, right there. That's what, I had been on the project up until that point. And Mr. Deller's, what he's trying to have figured out is from your arrow to the left, is that on grade?
So it doesn't really tell us on grade. You're just saying you would like us to go out there and dig down and find the tile.
that's right, and then shoot up, they got a standpipe up on
We could
me.
probably do with GPS, probably easier, I would
Yeah.
assume.
Right.
Some of our equipment.
Either way, and then as you go towards the right of the map where the tile lies, there's a big concrete right there. There's a big concrete junction box, and you can shoot from there all the way upstream to 200, and where the razor pipe is just west of 200.
So Kevin, what I hear you saying is you'd like to just do some exploratory, bring a rubber tire backhoe, dig down, find the pipe,
Yeah, and
find
I
some
mean,
grades.
you can shoot the two places where you can actually get to the tile through the concrete block.
Okay,
and
there is
the
man
razor pipe. And that's gonna tell you what you need to know. If there's a problem, if
Okay.
it's not on grade, then you have to start digging downstream to find out where the grade is lost. And this is all a follow-up to a meeting where all of this is public record, that this was to be put in according to the specs, and we're just wanting to find out if it was, and we have reason to believe that it was not.
Okay,
So that's issue number one. Number two is I still think downstream as it goes towards Pigeon Pond, that it's not getting away the way it should, because it's all new tile.
Sounds like you, investigation and
okay. Yeah,
And again, it's a follow-up to original meeting that was held, and we're not asking for something out of the ordinary. It's just a follow-up to what we agreed to.
no, we'll get on this, and if it's any help or whatever, I had kind of a similar conversation too with Jeff B., which had been Richard Flink's son-in-law.
Right.
That felt maybe too that things may not have been. Again, we had that conversation with him 2 years ago, so it kind of.
They had a significant amount of money that was spent with the expectation that they would have approved drainage on their property that never happened.
But we did spend quite a bit. I believe we spent well over 20,000 on that. And then Mr. Geller spent.
2008, yeah, Mr. Diller spent, I think it was a little over 20,000 with all of his reconstruction
Yeah.
fees. And then that was in 2016. And in 2017, 18 is when I paid the bills. We laid another 1,000 feet, and I am not sure exactly where. All I know is it went towards 200 east. Now, whether it came from the west or the east, I do not know, but they did lay another 1,000 feet.
And the exact dollar amount that was spent by both families really isn't all of that material, because what was agreed to at the time was that the drainage would be improved up to the claimed property line, and that never was completed.
Okay. So I see right here too, we're a little bit. Do the commissioners have this balance sheet as well written in here?
Yeah.
So we're not in the plus yet on this, so we're a little bit. It was pretty far in debt when we. There was a hearing on this. Am I right in saying?
There was a reconstruction hearing and a maintenance hearing, so we raised the assessment rate as well, because it used to only bring in $400 and some dollars. Now it brings in $4,650.
Okay, well, we're still a couple years behind.
Yeah, it's a couple years in debt.
Well, I did the research, but again, as a part of that reconstruction hearing, it was agreed to that the families that had contributed money out of their pocket for the project would have an outcome, which would be improved drainage to the Clink property line.
In your opinion, has it improved?
No, not to the scope of what was agreed to. And I have to apologize to Mr. Stuckey. I don't want to sound like a lawyer.
Why not?
I'm a farmer.
Oh, I used to be.
So what I guess I can do is we can Greg or I or both of us can reach out to you and try to coordinate that at some point.
And Ron in the local because he was the one that had made the significant investment on it.
Like you just need to go out there, Jim, and just do some. preliminary
Yeah, if we can get in
investigation,
the
see what's-
manholes, we can GPS that and find them. That's not gonna tell us if there's a bow or a hump in the.
Right, and I believe that it was put in on grade at least to the point of, what was on the map there, because I've been checking, they were on a 2/10 grade. So see what you find, and
Is there crops in there now or is
there
there
are
access
crops
to?
there are crops in there now, soybeans, you can walk through it. You can walk through it if you'd like. Or I can let you know when the crops come off.
That may be better.
Because it's this again is a follow-up to what was agreed to before.
All right, good on that one?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, the upper end, the lower end, that's really looking at the whole drain to make sure that the downstream outlet is to capacity and that the upper part of that is going great.
Definitely get an eye on it. All right, next one is your number 584, the William Jack regulated.
Yes, and that was public notice that we're going to be cleaning that up at the Swarm property. And you remember another meeting that we were at, they replaced the culvert on State Road 1.
Yes.
As a part of that project, it was agreed that we bring that down to grade. And I believe the state has done that. And then that would be cleaned upstream from there, which is connecting to the Schwarm project. So we just want to make sure that that is followed through to be cleaned and that it is down to a grade that would be acceptable for the drain.
I believe, Greg, you already sent out letters for that already, so we're just waiting for the crops to come off and then that'll be it.
So that would be, before any work is done, I would just ask that you would do a survey of the whole drain. And on Ron's properties, it goes through some muck. We want to make sure that it's got enough depth to be able to benefit in that property. So if you get the elevations on all of it, you should be able to come up with a plan that would give maximum benefit to the landowners. In addition, when the state put in that culvert, there's a pile of dirt that was left along the right away for the regulated drain. If it's possible to lose that, to get it leveled out in the ditch banks, that would be appreciated.
Is it kind of out of the state right away?
I-
The county took a culvert out of there. And that's dirt where they dug the culvert. The culvert was there, somebody finally, it was.
No, what I'm saying is, am I gonna be working in the state right away, right?
No.
No, it's in your right.
I understand, but is it in the state road right away as well too?
No.
Okay.
It's behind the state road.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
Yeah, and it actually was not directly related to the culvert. It was a private crossing that was taken out at the same time.
And it's mostly topsoil, just kind of level it off.
It's a variety of junk. So let me know when you're out there and we'll find a way to move it.
Little private crossing that was right here.
Yeah. Also, what is the policy on private crossings or ditch crossings for access to property?
As far as,
Placing them?
Yeah, replacing them, because on this same ditch, there is a access culvert that grants Ron access from his north field across the ditch to the south field that otherwise would be landlocked.
That's usually, once the culvert or crossing is in, that it is the landowner's responsibility to replace it. However, if we move it or damage it during construction or maintenance, then we would take care of it. Otherwise, it's the landowner's.
So if it fails from rusting through, then it's landowner's responsibility.
even if it is obstructing the flow, it's still the landowners?
Well, they need to replace it then, but yeah, I mean, yes, it says right in the code that it becomes the landowner's responsibility to maintain it.
So then the surveyor would determine the size of the culvert to not restrict the water?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can work on that also when you're doing the scope of the project.
Perfect.
Additionally, if you scan just a little bit to the east, there is a spur that goes straight south there. You can see it's not, no, that's north. There you go. That, I guess we'd ask that would be cleaned at the same time. It's tributary to the, and it's basically part of the same drain. It's just not listed as part of the jack ditch.
Yeah, it's not shown regulated.
That's not, doesn't say, doesn't show regulated.
Are you wanting to make it regulated?
I don't think you want to go there, do you, Ron?
Probably not. The way that happened, with Willie Engel, who was commissioner, his parents owned a farm to the south of that. And he drained that farm and brought it back down over a big hill and dumped it on top of the ground there on my property. And it was all, I had a mess. And when Willie was commissioner, they dug a ditch and then he dug a little spur up there to try to take care of his water. And that's how it got there.
So, which brings up the reason why we have regulated drains is that would be a classic case where a neighbor's dumping water onto another neighbor, and so regulated drains, you become the sheriff effectively to mediate disputes between landowners.
But at this,
On
at this point, it's not listed as a regulated drain. It's still private.
While we're on, it's, it's kind of like prescriptive easements. It's always acted as if it was, even though it's not, listed. But there's a white area in the ditch, you could call it a pond or whatever, so you can, right there. In dredging that regulated drain, if it alters the water level at that, is there anything the landowner can do about it? Because it's effectively part of the ditch.
Yeah, I'm not sure. What can you show me on what he's referring
But
to?
where the arrow was at,
Yeah, it looks like there's a black spot in there.
that's
Yeah.
kind of it's a white spot in the ditch that you could argue is a pond. I guess my contention is that it's part of the regulated drain, so as you dredge that, if it lowers the water level, that's just part of the ditch.
I don't think it's regulated drain. That's where I disagree with you. Because they're established by statute, 75 feet each
The water
side.
knows no bounds, so if you lower the water on the blue line, doesn't it lower the water next to the blue line?
I think you're correct there. I would agree with you there. But it's,
It would just make a matter of common sense to me that, yeah, lowering the water in the regulated drain, if the water surrounding is lowered, then there's nothing that, you can do about that.
Is that blue line correct, Kevin, or does it follow Greg's cursor right now?
Follows, yeah.
So that very
It is-
well may be, you know
it
what I'm
is-
saying? I see no open ditch through there. And that's why sometimes Beacon just puts it on, so we can correct that.
so there is a regulated drain through there, you think?
Yeah, so the blue line is, I believe,
I think it's-
looking at the overhead map, I believe that this blue line should follow Greg's cursor
That's right.
because there's no open ditch through there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll just throw it on there. So we can go on there and correct that, and then that may kind of
Yeah.
answer both questions.
And I don't anticipate any problem here, but I just wanted to make sure that it was noted as a matter of public record that that is the regulated drain. It's a white spot in the ditch, but if we lower the water, it's part of the regulated drain.
So Greg, we can correct that when we go out there and look at it for sure and verify that.
It's just a layer.
I knew you'd see it.
It happens a lot, you know, they just kind of put their lines kind of wherever and you can see that.
So the lateral that is not marked as a part of the regulated drain, it's acting as if it is. So when you get out there to do the survey on this, let me know if I can, do part of the work myself or whatever. It just needs to be done now, and it is removing water from one of the neighbors. It's acting as if it's a regulated drain.
And in that spot right there where you see where you drive through is the tile or the cross that you were talking is being broke down?
No, that's the cross that we put in to get access to the field because the one on the main jack ditch has failed.
Which is where,
Just scroll a little bit to the left, your other left. Maybe I meant right. Yeah, just a little bit further. Right there, you can see it. And there's a lot of crossings put in the 50s and they're failing all at the same time.
And it's backing the water up to the east because the culvert is all washed in. And so people up
Is that
east,
culvert?
Smiths and up east are suffering because
Completely
of that
rotted out.
culvert.
Yeah, it'll have to be pulled and then it's a question of, and I understand the policy is that it's up to the landowner to replace them, but in this case, it's holding water upstream onto the neighbors. So, it's kind of that, who's responsible?
Well, if we're out there too, we can work something out there too, where if you want to leave the crossing in there, sometimes you can buy the pipe, and if we're there, we can just kind of shove it in there real quick too.
So I think that's kind of in the category of the spur off there too. We'll work with you to make sure this works, but it's instructive to look at. There are a lot of these situations in the county where they act as if they're a regulated drain. They've always been, water is a common nuisance. They've been handling the common nuisance, but they aren't part of the regulated drain.
So at any time though, those can be petitioned. We just did one last month too. We petitioned a bunch for Richard Wells.
Yeah.
To make one regulated. I was
I
a
don't
mutual drain.
think, I don't want to speak for Ron, but I don't think he wants to pay more assessment, do you?
Well, you wouldn't say more.
It's still part of the watershed, it just becomes part of the watershed, the regulated part. And
Right, so
it's
that's-
going
Because he's still
to,
paying the assessment on those acres that are drained.
sure, he's still getting an assessment anyway.
So we can have that conversation. Let me go on. We can look at that, and if it looks like it's in decent shape.
You'd rather make it official for records, that way in the future, they'll know, okay, that is regulated,
Right.
we can spend money on it.
And I know in the past it's been done. I mean, we can see right in the ledger, money's been spent on things that aren't officially regulated.
Yeah.
So we really need to clean that stuff up
Yeah.
and make it.
That is great. Just flag that as a follow-up, or you
Okay.
can talk to Ron and me about what that process is, because these happen all over the county, and that might kind of
Yeah.
clear up.
It happened a lot with Larry, so, yeah, and so, they call back 10 years later when he's not here or whenever, and we can't prove that that's regulated, because there's no record. So we can get always a petition going for you, it's easy.
And it doesn't cost you nothing either.
No.
And thank you all for holding the meetings. If you have a public meeting, then everybody had the right to be able to make their input.
So they do, to petition to have, it does not have to be public. Explain that to me.
We'll see who all it actually goes through, whose property that, if Ron owns it or whoever else owns that property, then they can sign a petition as well. And then that becomes part of the William Jack watershed.
Yeah.
You don't have a public hearing.
Right. So last,
down the public.
Must be done in a
You're
public
doing the
meeting.
same thing. You're encompassing the landowners that would be affected by that.
Correct.
100%. You got 100% approval, then you don't have to.
Yeah,
have it.
because
Yeah, so-
they'll understand there's a right of way, then that's gonna help, they're gonna be subject to.
two weeks ago, it was Brown Wells, Jim Myers, one of the landowners, there's 4 affected landowners that ran through. Greg got all 4 to sign the petition, we were good to go.
Okay,
The straw hands.
yes. So is that fair enough? We can,
We'll follow up. Yeah,
excellent. Yeah,
absolutely.
again, there are other places like this, so it's good to know the process.
Yeah.
And then, we're good on that. You're gonna.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Then you said drainage and maintenance report. Whoops.
Well, with,
Is there anything you've been discussing?
Thomas Malone was one that Jim and I have talked about, but I want to get that out there for.
Right behind the theater one. Thomas Malone, yeah.
And Thomas, it's a huge watershed that crosses into DeKalb County, and we're unfortunately on the lower end of that. It's been a long time since it's clean. We can basically walk across the ditch now. It's filled in so much. And I know Jim had mentioned that it is so big that he talked about doing partition or dividing that into upper, mid, and lower. And then we're gonna have to do something on the assessment because we're getting to the point where we just really are in need of it being cleaned.
Doesn't that flow from the south to the north, Kevin?
Yes.
So it goes in between by the Fritz's property.
DeKalb County's part of it.
Yeah.
So, and it goes into, what's the name of that?
Long Lake.
Long Lake, yeah. So all the way down by State Road 4, which we did some work, I don't know if you guys remember, but Thomas Malone Meadow number 5 we did, which is on the south side of 4. And that brings, how many acres are in that? There's several thousand acres in there, I believe.
2,526.97 acres.
It needs to be addressed one way or the other.
In Steuben.
And it's a deep ditch. Rick,
Well,
you-
parts of it aren't on us. It's a muck section and, I would help you out on it, but the folks at Long Lake tend to get a little upset when the ditch get cleaned, so I'm not sure.
What are the pros and cons of putting different units?
I don't know. It just doesn't bring enough money in now to maintain it.
It's so large that if we do like it, because we're probably gonna have to have a reconstruction on it at some point. So you're gonna have people way up on the top end and maybe the reconstruction's happening on the lower end, that they're really not gonna see any benefit per se. And there's so much tile, but then if we have it divided into 3 parts, you have more money that only is for those 3 parts, like the upper to clean that, keep that tile fixed, the middle part, each section would take care of their own.
I'm personally not in favor of that because we own the upper and the lower end of it. And so the water has to go somewhere. The
Yeah.
property on the lower end, the water has to go somewhere. So it's kind of a sink or swim for everybody.
Well, the negative part of that is then too, you can only use money in that area, where we talked about the far extreme was the cumulative drain, and that's all one big old lump sum, everything's, like Elkhart County does. So that's another.
Yeah, so, and really this is an awareness thing where there's like every drain, there's not enough money in it, but I also think
We're getting there, though.
we're gonna have to at some point address how do we fix some of the neglect that we've had for the last, I don't know how many decades. Down to 2 things left, if that helps.
Awesome.
The Theodore Wood, you've already had people come and talk to you, Jim, about that. They would be the ones that's from corner of, or the intersection of Metz and 20.
Yes.
Drains east through Ron, crosses the Metz Road again, and it's, I believe, blocked with roots through the woods.
Well, I talked a little bit with Rick. Rick, do you remember me talking to you about that Russ Tingler home right there? I was planning on this weekend, I just talked to, we're gonna go in here and do some exploratory right here. We're gonna open it right here just to see how that's flowing, because I think you said on past the woods where things seem to be moving well.
South of 20, or south of the Metz Road, we did a tile repair in there sometime this spring. And I think the tile is good there. If you dig it up in the woods, I think you're gonna find that if you just go to the east side of the woods, dig the tile up there, I think you're gonna find it's blocked.
Yeah, because what Russ has going into his house,
It's clear water.
holy cow.
Yeah.
You can't hardly keep up with it too.
It's not a big tile. It's gonna, it's not free, but I think it's maybe a 10-inch, so it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure at that point which direction the water was running
Yeah, it
from the
goes.
tile. It all goes south there.
Did you learn something?
Yeah,
Do we have that on the agenda to have a hearing on that one?
Yeah, we've been working on that one.
We do, so we've been working on, we're gonna have a hearing, we're gonna raise the rates.
We're
You know,
next drainage board meeting, we're gonna have to have.
We're gonna, next drainage, we're gonna ask.
Yeah, so which leads me to my last point on this is, we went too long without raising the assessments and we were depleted all these accounts, but we really need to come up with budgets and expected timeline and dollars spent. We're gonna ask landowners to pay not a tax, an assessment on their regulated drain. We need to be able to have some idea of where that money's gonna go, when it's gonna go. You should, as a surveyor, have rules of thumb for X amount of dollars to clean a mile of ditch. We have rules of thumb for putting in dual wall tile and so on, because when we're asking for this kind of money, I think the landowner is owed an expectation of where the money's gonna go to. Being polite.
No, you are, yeah. And I know others have asked too of a more detailed, they don't like the generic, we just need it for maintenance. Future maintenance, so I'll try to get more.
It's been too many decades of not maintaining these things, but I just think when you're asking for that kind of money, that it would be a reasonable expectation. Did I cover everything wrong?
I think so.
Did any of you have anything for me? Journey of 1,000 miles against the first step, so
That's right.
you're doing it. Keep up the good work.
Well, Kevin, as a surveyor, I appreciate you coming in. I think I can speak of the drainage board too, that we appreciate you coming in and firsthand giving us a report.
Would it be better if I smacked my fist on it?
No, there would be.
There we go. It makes you feel better.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Better waters. Find them a little bit more.
All right, item number 3, certification, Camric and Buell joint interstate drainage. Signatures, huh?
Yep.
All right.
Need all 3 of you. I just.
Goodman, would you see if I can't get it?
I have the
Dan.
on this emails information. This is public information.
Well, we'll give you a zero.
But
She had a review of watershed management plan, and she's.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care.
We do them unless there's been any changes in the watershed. Somebody on
All right.
the.
Jim, are you clear with what needs to?
I believe so, yeah. I got a good communication relationship with Mr. Stoy. Yeah, if I have any questions, I'll reach out to him and we'll get going on that, especially once the crops are coming off here. I know it's gonna get busy here for a little bit before we winter in, so.
Yeah. Make sure we're on top of it and get a plan of action.
Just respect Mr. Stoy's time this time of year.
Yes.
He's a give experience.
I understand.
All right, anything else? Sullivan? We're in recess. Thank you.
So that means we're done.